Scorpio. This is your December 2023 soul story. If you have a sun rising or your moon is in the sign, this might resonate for the month ahead. It's Romy here. Thank you for joining me on the channel for our final soul story of the year. Appreciate all your support the last 12 months with the channel. We're going to open up December's reading with the energy of the Nine of Cups. Scorpio, to live your deepest desires, it means releasing the reactionary behavior that is rooted in assumptions and experiences from the past and replacing it with a reflective behavior that's truly rooted in growth. And there perhaps isn't a season that, is more triggering on an emotional level and hitting on that heart chakra more than December. Now, we begin the month with Venus shifting into your sign on the 4th, and this definitely supports you in feeling like you're able to express yourself and you're able to really find the right tempo, if you like, particularly in the closer intimate relationships that you have. And this pursuit of truth and this need to unearth and to discover information and understanding, to seek compassion, to ignite the passion and the warmth and the vibrancy, all of which is necessary in order to help kind of foster this environment for enabling you to have the type of experiences that you want, is really going to be supportive, okay? The Nine of Cups is inherently like a wish card, isn't it? And sometimes we feel like things are too good to be true. And it's difficult, where we're in a season, and every season has something to teach us. Every season has a purpose. And you are seeing more clearly than you have because you now have the hindsight and the context and all the lived experiences of the last 12 months, right? So you're bringing forth a different attitude in terms of the things that you desire. And there is almost this, what holds value for me? And there will be a shift, like absolutely, you'll feel it powerfully this month. Things that you thought were important or felt like they were such a big deal have slowly started to dissolve and be replaced with things that, are maybe a little bit more grounded, maybe a bit more stripped back, maybe a bit more clarifying in terms of, actually being healthy or good for you. And, this shift and change in your energy and your attitude sort of helps you to, I think, blend the old with the new. And, that's going to help to create new traditions and new ways of doing things this month that actually will be refreshing and in many ways really cathartic for you. One of the things we have to do is release ourselves from what we feel is the power dynamic or the vice-like grip of external situations, people, or energetic influences. And again, that might require, almost creating like a buffer by way of, supportive people or things that make you feel good, or making some really strong, powerful decisions early on in the month about what you will and won't say yes to, what will and won't be acceptable to you. And, I think that puts you in the right state of mind to be able to handle whatever comes your way through the course of December. Now, Neptune stations direct on the 6th, and there's a sort of revisitation, I think, to some of the things that have meant the world to you, but for perhaps one reason and another didn't get off the ground, didn't come to fruition, you weren't given the chance to explore. And now we have this like renewed faith, we have this deepening desire to want to explore. But we also have this kind of innate need to create some sort of a plan or a strategy that will help enable you to actually experiment or experience or make space in your life for these things. And so, December is going to be like one moment after another, like a whole string of like powerful awakened moments, these kind of lucid kind of aha, like, oh my goodness, this makes sense, I'm connecting the dots. Like all of a sudden, you're really coming to terms and comprehending the significance of certain things that have happened over the last 12 months. The Emperor could also be the vehicle by which good news or something that is wanted is being delivered for you. That's certainly the case. And, we're going to welcome the new moon in Sagittarius along with the activation of the 12/12 portal on the 12th. This new moon coming in at 20 degrees and having an interesting conversation with Uranus, meaning there are some surprises that are likely to come your way. Now, the surprise, which in some ways doesn't really feel like a surprise, I think there is some processing that perhaps need to be done about how you feel about it and what it means. And, it may, for some of you, especially with that Venus and Scorpio, trigger this understanding about what it means for you to receive love. And so the news in some way, even if not directly, it could indirectly be triggering your ability to kind of feel worthy enough to have the love that you seek or the desires that you want fulfilled. Now, the thing to remember about December is that we have this incredible healing undercurrent that's moving all the way through the month, and it's here to help us find acceptance, acknowledgement, and make peace so that we don't drag into the next year the heavier, resistant energy or the challenges that perhaps have limited us or held us back. Now, when we make peace, acknowledge or accept things, we don't always like them, and sometimes they can be tricky. And of course, this time of year more than any other brings up all sorts of emotions to the surface. So the Three of Swords isn't a particularly surprising reveal through a month where, the sorrow, if you like, of not just the recent events or even this year, but, of years gone by, because we can really go back to loved ones that we've lost or relationships that have ended or, things that have changed in our life. But the sorrow does soften when we let ourselves feel into it. And because of the healing nature of December, everything is geared up towards helping you to come to terms with something. Coming to terms with something, again, just means that we have the capacity to be able to face it. Doesn't, again, mean that necessarily we agree with it or we want it, but we have to acknowledge it, that it's part of our reality in some regards. So our King of Coins is coming through here. And, what I will say is that the focus or the intention towards feeling safe and secure, and then perhaps the vulnerability, is an interesting dynamic that might be hitting you either, especially with Venus in your sign, either, in those close intimate relationships in terms of how you might be being challenged with your own sense of value. But also for some of you, perhaps around your money, your prosperity, the difference of what is wanted and what we feel unable to be able to receive. And so, there's a bit of a mixed bag on an emotional level. But at the same time, this King of Coins wants recognition for you, recognition for how far you've come, what you've achieved, what you've accomplished, what you've earned, not materially, but the experiences, how it's changed you. And you have to say to yourself, well done, I earned this, like I really have. And so as you consider what you're seeking more of, and therefore, as a result, what you also desire less of, this king is saying, let's be intentional, even in this final few weeks of the year, because this closing out ceremony, we all understand the significance of ensuring that we say our goodbyes and we allow the release of energy in a way that is as neutral and accepting as possible, because that's the platform with which we initiate the catalyst for whatever the next experience is going to be. Yeah. So you'll see a lot of things in a new light this month, and you are being asked to stay on track. And I do think that you have a plan, and to all intents and purposes, I think that you should stick to that plan. And I think, we have to be aware Mercury is going to go retrograde, our final one of the year, on the 12th. Alongside that new moon in Capricorn, and then we'll shift back into Sagittarius on the 22nd. So practically, yes, travel plans, make sure you've got a plan B and C and even D. Ordering things, especially online, make sure you do it early, be prepared for delays by shipping or confusion or wrong items arriving, messages and communication that are sent, being mindful it might get lost or misunderstood. So it's not the most helpful, but at the same time, it does help to kind of slow things down. And where needed, where importantly, we have to revisit something, this is the perfect time to do it so that we can find resolution. And I do think that this particular retrograde will help in regards to finding resolution to something. You will be clearer about how you feel. You will. And, the certainty of that will help to shape the next move that you make, the next decision or choice or action that needs to be, initiated. And so I do think that you're going to be able to really be okay with yourself over any significant or important choices, that need to take place, to happen. Of course, that second house that's illuminated through Sagittarius season for you also just puts a different emphasis, around the material. And, you may just, as I said, have a very different approach and a desire to want to release yourself from the over toxicity and sensory overload of the consumerism. And the King of Wands comes through here. I mean, you've got all this sort of masculine energy showing up, kind of galvanizing and like preparing you and readying you and sort of getting you in the right headspace to sort of take something on and to navigate something. And I do think that you need to consider all of the reasons to keep going with something. So if you have had or do go through something in December that makes you doubtful or wobble a little bit over whether this is something to pursue or to keep investing in, and may not be the case for all of you, but for many of you, I think that as you go and take the opportunity to kind of really sit and sort of figure out all of the reasons for you to keep going, you will actually realize how much it still means to you. And the minute that happens, it's almost like you get a renewal of energy, of faith, of that dynamic inner drive, if you like, to kind of see something through. And even if that's not going to necessarily fully materialize in December, it certainly puts you on a good track as you move into the new year. Okay. And honestly, with a month where we've got the emotional sensitivity that undoubtedly arrives at this time of year, I quite like that we've got some of these stronger, more anchored masculine energies coming in to help you, because it will just balance you out so that you don't feel like you're drowning too much. So we need to be incredibly fluid and open in regards to some of the plans, because, it's almost like there's a sense of unknown to some parts of, the month. And the more that you can kind of have some openness as to sort of last minute changes, it's going to be far less stressful for you. Two of Coins. So there we see you sort of balancing and, trying to navigate multiple different things that, might be coinciding and happening all at once. I want to say to you, in that moment, remember, split second sort of irritation or heightened emotional responses, which can be incredibly common, especially this time of year. They don't have to spiral into something that would create a lasting regret. So the more we can temper, reflect, and not react, and this goes back actually to what I said about these deepest desires that you want to live out, are so fundamentally like rooted in your ability to release the reactionary behavior from the past. And you know, this is the month to take stock on how much you've actually really changed. Now, solstice energy arrives when we move into Capricorn season, 21st, 22nd, and there's actually something quite uplifting, quite joyful, especially if you have some celebration or ritual planned around this time, or even if, you know, there's something else that's coinciding, but it's helping you to harness with that still point, that seasonal alignment and adjustment. And I just think it helps you to reflect on what adjustments you want to make in your own personal life at this moment. And, you know, you are going to be connecting the dots more and more with your own pathway and what has unfolded. Now, what's nice this year, in comparison perhaps to the last couple of years, if we have less tense, opposing, combative energies coming in right over the holiday season, which, you know, doesn't necessarily stop some of the more tricky situations arising, but it certainly doesn't add to them. So on the 25th, we've got Venus trining with Neptune, which really brings in something that is wanted. Now, this is a month where I really see the deliverance of like this convoy of gifts, spiritually, emotionally, energetically, and it just puts you in the frame of mind that helps you to have more harmonious conversations, to really treasure being present, to perhaps have some unexpected gifts or feelings or experiences that again help to activate that sense of the Nine of Cups, of really elevating, you know, your vibration and, you know, allowing you to step into those more joyful, happier experiences. And yeah, of course, it's not that way for everybody around this time of year. And certainly there may be some things that, you know, dutifully we have to kind of navigate, but that Two of Coins is going to give you the flexibility and also the tenacity to just handle things. But mark my words, they will certainly be buffered by some things that you will absolutely treasure. We then have a full moon in Cancer coming in on the 26th, and it's incredibly compassionate, healing, lunar light, this one. We've got Chiron stationing direct, wounded healer. We've got Jupiter and Saturn just bringing some beautiful energies to the mix here, supportively. And you know what you need to remember is this is the second Cancerian full moon of the year. So go back to January 6th. What was going on for you? You are revisiting the release and the revelations and the activations that happened. But now with new hindsight, with context, with stronger intentionality, to really sort of drive something to a point where you are completely yielding and surrendering, I think. And remember, the Cancerian moons is going to be close to home. It's about our sense of emotional safety and security. It might, for some of you, bring about an energy of more compassion, forgiveness or tolerance, or just the recognition of, you know, what truly needs to go from your life for your peace. But all said and done, it just feels like a welcome arrival at that specific time as you seek to close out the year. In addition to that, we will have Jupiter stationing direct on the 30th, and a gift will always arrive when this happens. Not necessarily material, but, you know, with Jupiter and Taurus, it could be something more tangible. But what we're really seeing is this awareness and this direct sort of manifestation that seems to mirror a lot of the growth that you feel you've had over the last few months. And again, that just sort of validating something for you, helping you feel more confident, amplifying a certain feeling within you that brings about more of a sense of optimism or hope about what can happen, where you can get, what you can achieve. And as long as we're coming from this place of love, not fear, you know, the sorrow can soften into something that we can truly allow to, yes, have a permanent imprint on us, but at the same time also realize the significance and the power of living presently, powerfully, purposefully now, and really enjoying the richness of that experience. So if you're new to the channel, our last 3 cards we pull in the extended version of my readings, so we talk for another 30 minutes or so. We'll also look at a personal question, a relationship card, and this month we will take a peek at a major arcana for your year ahead, see what wants to show up for you. You'll find the link in the comment and description box. It's a way to support me and help me to keep doing what I do, so I appreciate it. I'm going to clarify the main reading and see the direction we will be taking this extended. We've got the 8 of Swords, the World, the Tower, we've got the Well, Queen of Wands, Ace of Cups, 3 of Wands and the Devil. This month, my soul journey is a beautiful closing ceremony for 2023, and also I've created a series of really powerful affirmations. For those of you that find this time of year tricky, difficult dynamics in family situations, personal relationships, maybe feeling into the loss or the scarcity, these affirmations are just going to ground and recenter you. So you can check these out again over on my website, links are below, as are all the decks that I use as well. Okay. The thing to say really about December is it just has such a sort of feeling of a release of that sort of tense vice-like grip on one or more areas of your life, and you know, that just helping you to feel like you can breathe, you know, and in that processing and freedom, permission, if you like, to then make the decisions or, you know, start to direct yourself towards something that's incredibly important and meaningful to you. It'll just take on a different hue. It'll have a different feel in December. Okay, we've got Spirit Stag, Heavenly Timing. This is my own deck, okay? You can check this out over on my website, Life Soul Vision Oracle. We've got a Spirit Wolf, beautiful. Eclipse Revelations. Lovely gift for yourself or loved ones this season. Just remember with that Mercury retrograde, like order nice and early, especially if we're shipping overseas. We've got Blossoming Soul Song, love that. And the Wishing Tree. The Wishing Tree and the 9 of Cups, like something really special arriving for you this December. Okay. So what do we have for our final oracles for Scorpio, December 23? We've got the Medicine Guardian, be open to healing information, beautiful. Finally, from the Seasons of the Witch. Perseverance. Stay in thy power, dear child, for thy lonely is never alone. When the world is dreadful upon thy, turn to the spirits within thy. Okay, we will explore these messages in our extended reading. Once again, thanks for all your support this year. I wish you a really peaceful, loving holiday season with those that you care about and for yourself. Be sure to check out the closing ceremony and the powerful affirmations. Thank you for being here. I appreciate you. Come join me on the extended and we'll wrap this year up. You take good care. Lots of love.